Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tommy Pie. Today I'm going to attempt to do a 1.14.4 new TARDIS mod in-depth tutorial. So by in-depth I mean I'm going to try and do it in-depth, but hopefully this is enough to get a new person started to this mod. So first I recommend you use Just Enough Items mod to just understand all of the crafting recipes. As you can see, just do @TARDIS, you see all the stuff you need to know. I will be linking timestamps below to every single part of the video. So if you're just here for one particular thing, I'll leave a comment displaying the time for that. So remember, this is version 1.4 of the mod, so don't get mad at me if something changes, but this tutorial should get you started no matter what version of the new TARDIS mod 1.14.4 you are using. So the actual first part we're going to cover is how to get a TARDIS. Now I'll explain what these are for, but you're going to want to get one of these, a brass quantiscope, which just is the recipe of this. You get these from mining the X-ion crystals. And an exotronic circuit is crafted like this, so you'll need to find cacti. And this is like a crafting kind of thing, like a crafting table. And with this you can craft yourself a pocket watch. You know, you find these underground, just another exotronic circuit, and a clock. And you craft that in this brass quantiscope, and this brass quantiscope is used for many recipes in this mod, so keep hold of it. So then I'd recommend you want to find a bell from a village. Now I have just located a village using creative, but yeah, you're looking for these, just the bell here. I simulated me picking it up with a pickaxe. But basically, using these two items, you'll hopefully be able to find a TARDIS. And to make things a lot clearer, you're looking for one of these, a broken TARDIS exterior, and God that loud. So what these two do is a pocket watch will detect this within 20 blocks of it. As you'll see, it'll start spinning like this. Whereas a bell, if you just listen to it, did you hear that cloister bell after just the normal bell sound? If it makes that cloister bell sound after the normal bell sound, it means one of these broken TARDIS exteriors is within a 3-chunk radius of you. Now I find most of the time they are underground, so what you'll probably find yourself doing is just walking along and every now and then doing that. Yeah, there was nothing. And you'll carry on searching until one time you'll place the bell, and you'll hear that noise after this. This could take a while, but it's worth it to get a TARDIS. So because I rang the bell there, and it's within a 3-chunk radius, I'm going to assume it's in this cave, because they're like, I always find them in caves. I've never heard anything about them not being in caves. So once you're in this cave, I recommend putting your pocket watch in your hand, and I actually placed this TARDIS here. These are the kind of places you'll find them, okay? And your pocket watch will start ticking in a 20-block radius. So this isn't the only method. There is a storyteller method, which I will get onto later in the video. I'm sorry if this all isn't making much sense. It'll all be uncovered, hopefully soon. So, you'll notice that you can't actually get into this TARDIS. So, you need to tame it like an animal. So, things you can use are things like clocks, compasses, field maps, ender pearls, and there are more, but I recommend using clocks as they give more tame points. You could actually also use a horse with a lead connected to there, and he'll actually pull it open, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, you just get your clock, right click on it, until you get that achievement. And as you'll see, it has stopped flashing everywhere or whatever. But you'll be able to open it now, okay? And you'll enter your TARDIS and you'll notice it's really wrecked. And also the console is buzzing around, you know? But I promise you, we'll get onto it later. I'm just trying to show you all this stuff step by step. So yes, there is a huge epic console with loads of buttons and all that. Yes, there is a TARDIS engine underneath here, and there is another room, but I'm going to show you the monitor first. So when you right click on the monitor, you'll get all these options here, and we're going to start with the timeship flight information, and that's just what's displayed on the monitor here, but just in a bigger screen so you can see it better. So the location, the coordinates you're in, the dimension you're in, the exterior facing, which should be pretty obvious, your target coordinates. So if I hit the throttle, that's where it should take me, but I can't just yet. The target dimension is overworld, so that's, you know, when I travel, that's the dimension I'll land in. Archon units is like fuel. We currently have 0. I'll show you how to refuel later. And the journey that our TARDIS has gone to travel to another coordinate, so it's a 0% because we're not travelling. I must also tell you that when you shift and right click on it, you actually get this really cool outskirt view, exterior view I guess, and it circles around like that. But next on the screen we have waypoints. This is basically how you can bookmark your locations. So if I set a waypoint to right now, I can create one and name it. I won't. I could select that and it would load in the coordinates and dimension to this spot. So I would land at this spot with ease. Change interior, it's fairly obvious. You only have a couple of Terriers yet, but they're all really cool. And there are ways you can unlock another Terrier. And there are a lot that are in the game but can't be accessed yet in survival. So now on change console unit, it's basically changing this thing here. So that I'm going to do one right now. We've now got the coral console. The exterior is pretty obvious as well. You only have a couple here, but like I said, you can unlock some, which we'll get onto later. So now the security sub-menu. You have toggle alarm. And as you can hear, there is a cloister bell going off. This will usually happen when a hostile entity enters your TARDIS. And you just click it again, and it will go off. So now we're moving on to the interior properties sub-menu. You'll notice it just got a lot darker. I reset my grammar. This is usually how dark it is. So you've got your console variant. I can change that to ironclad, and now it looks like this. Cool, yeah. And then you just got normal. Got your interior hum. Just select what hum you want. It's pretty obvious. And then you've got your interior light level, and I'm going to turn that up because it's kind of dark. But there you go, that's a lot better. Exterior properties, so you can set your landing code so you can land on a specific transduction barrier. I'll show you later, I promise. Exterior variant, look, I change it to blue. And if you look outside, now got a blue variant basically. You can also set that to rusted as well. So the remat type, I'm afraid I'll show you later. But pulse and fade in. Toggle anti-gravs basically means when you break the block underneath and anti-gravs is on, it will float. So now, yes, we're going to get onto the console for you. And I will explain how to stop this sparking. So I recommend you get a TARDIS manual if you're a beginner to actually look at what every single button does. You can craft one using this, exotronic circuit and book. But that is an exotronic circuit, so if you want to save items and all that, I recommend going into creative, giving yourself one of these on a creative world, not your survival world, and just memorizing this console like I have. So we're going to explain what each button does on this console, not button, just each thing, you know. A handbrake, if you release that handbrake and then whack on the throttle, you'll actually take off. But don't take off yet, because you can't. You got yourself the dimensional shifters. You can change your target dimension around, so look at that. I do have external mods like Mining World and Midnight, so just ignore them. If we look at our target, it's 0, 0, 0. If you click the randomizer, it just randomizes the coordinates around 0, 0, 0. Exterior facing, just the way it's just obvious. The door switch, as you can see, the door is now open. I can close it. I actually quite like this. It didn't feel very cool, but it's really useful. You got the sonic port. You put your sonic screwdriver in there to download data fragments. Get onto it later. Stabilizers. Get onto it later. The throttle. So the handbrake's on, but if you left click that, it'll go full throttle, and you shift to land, you know. I'll show you that more in flight. You got yourself the X, Y, Z coordinates. So if you look closely at my target, minus 102, 0, and minus 5. In fact, I might actually get a monitor here to show you even better. If I click the X button, it'll go up by 10. Y, go up by 10. You can set that to 60, and this is adjusting your coordinates of where you want to go. And then Z. And to change it from like 1 to 10 to 100 to 1000, you click the XYZ increment here. So there you go. So now it's going to go up by 1, and as you can see, it's going up by 1. Now so is this, and if you shift and right click it, it'll go down. So this is kind of the navigating section here, but not all of the navigating system. You've got your vertical land type, so if you're scanning down, you're more likely to land in caves and stuff of a lower Y level. Landing up, you're more likely to land on the surface, which I usually keep it on up, but when I'm looking for a cave, I keep it down, obviously. The communicator is used to tune into frequencies so you can receive stress signals and all that. You will need an interstitial antenna component, which I'll show you later. The refueler. Aha. I'll get onto it later. And then finally, the telepathic circuits, and this can locate biomes, which I find this really useful. Within a 500 range, otherwise it'd be quite OP. But like, look at this, if I wanted to find, I don't know, planes or something. Just do that, and it'll load it into the coordinates right there, and then you just take off. Boom. I'd also like to add, in the TARDIS manual, you can actually find really great tutorials, descriptions here. So if you're in the game and you can't be bothered to click on a video or look something up, go check the manual. So now I'm going to sort out the stupid buzzing. To stop this, you're going to want to get a dematerialization circuit and a fluid link. These are both crafted in the brass quantiscope, of course. So the recipe for the dematerialization circuit is this. So just plop that into there and you'll get yourself one. And for the fluid link, it's this, but that's in the crafting table. I recommend using it in the quantity scope welder to get a much cheaper recipe. And these mercury bottles are crafted in an alembic. Just use just enough items, just search it up. So you put your water in here, and this will fill this up with water. So just place a water bucket there. It'll empty it into here. Then you get yourself some crushed cinnabar, which is just mined. It's fairly common, don't worry. And you smelt that with coal, and this will give you mercury in this part. And then you put a glass bottle in this compartment and it'll give you a mercury bottle. I hope that makes sense. Please tell me in the comments if it doesn't. So when I put these two in, you'll see this will stop buzzing. And you can actually take off now. If you didn't have them in there, you can't take off. But the thing is, you don't have any Artron units to take off either. So this is the components section of the engine, this blue part. So now I'm going to show you all of the components. You've got the dematerialization circuit, and if you actually hold shift and then control, you can see their description. This doesn't have a function in a minute. The fluid link is actually used for fuel as well. You need this for fuel, and it's used for flight as well. Chameleon circuit allows for the exterior to be changed, and in the description you can see how it takes damage because you need to repair these at some point. To know how to repair them, you just click on the quantity scope welding section and just click this next one. So like for example, a fluid link, you need a mercury bottle to repair. This is why you need just enough items. Interstitial antenna allows you to receive, the communication like I showed you earlier. The temporal grey circuit basically means you can't take damage inside the interior, but it does take durability off this component. And then the shear generator, just read it honestly. So we're going to plop all of these in there like that. And now I'm going to describe what this thing actually is, the TARDIS engine. So you have 4 compartments here. So this blue one here is the components, where I just put everything there. If you right click on the green side, you get a charging panel. You put things like the sonic screwdriver, Artron batteries in there. In this side here, the upgrades, get onto that later. But you can unlock special perks for your TARDIS by putting a particular upgrade circuit in there. And the Artron banks is basically the fuel storer. And relating to that, these are 2 leaky Artron capacitors. So if I refueled right now, I could only hold a total capacity of 64, and it won't charge very fast. You can see that it's only got a recharge multiplier of 0.2. So what you could do is get just a normal one, or you could get a medium or a high one, and just plop that in there, and you'll have a lot more charge. You can stack these on top of each other and just have loads of charge like that. So we still have 0 Artron units, and that's because once you've got those Artron capacitors in there, you just click the refueling button, and any second now, there you go. That's all you do, and they will refuel. So I'm just going to wait to get some Artron units, and then we'll take off. So at the minute we could probably hold quite a lot of Artron units, like really a lot, but that's quite expensive. Instead you could probably just include a couple of these high ones. Click on these, and just enough items, you can find out how to craft them, don't you worry. And then click on that, you know what I mean? So we should have enough Artron units to take off now. So you want to take off the handbrake and just left click the throttle there. Or you could right click it, just go a small speed. But I always left click it. So if you have stabilizers active, it'll be a nice and smooth flight, but it will drain your fuel and your components a lot more. So basically everyone usually flies with these deactivated, however it does mean you'll go through a course of having to press buttons. So I'll demonstrate right now. I'm going to left click. As you can see, we're now flying, and it said spatial drift Y, so I'm going to click that. Vertical displacement. Now I know this because of memory. I'm about to cover what for each scenario, which one you should press. So I'm pressing a different button on the console for each warning I get. So that's dimensional shifters. And our journey is going up, as you can see. Our Artron units will be draining. We just got the same warning 3 times in a row. But yeah, we're heading to these We're heading to these coordinates, as you can see. But here, we're actually reached 100% of our journey. And we'll carry on draining fuel the moment we kind of stay ready to land. So to land, you press left and shift, and you'll start actually landing now. And you won't need to do anything from there, just what the. So now you've landed. Put that back on. Shift and right click to make sure you know where you are. Just a visual bug at the minute. Give it some time. But yeah, you are in a different location, as you can see. But now I'm going to go through all of the warnings you can get and which button to press. So if you get Artron flow low, you click the refueler. If you get time winds approaching, you click the throttle. Remember, only to click them once. If you get spatial drift X, click that. Spatial drift Y, spatial drift Z, just click whichever one it says. Exterior bulkhead failing, click the door switch. Vortex scrap is a bit of a harder one. You click the randomizer, then exterior facing. Dimensional drift, the one we just got 3 times. Dimensional shifters. Vertical displacement area, click the vertical land type. And that should set you off. And that should be it for this version. You do usually add more in the future, so I'm sorry about that. Because when you fail one of them, you'll usually mess up your target and all that, and the time will be extended. You'd use more fuel and drain more components. It's not good if you miss one. So if you do get one, you're like, what do I do? Just put the stabilizers back on, okay? It also decreases the mood of your TARDIS. Now, the more you fly it with stabilizers off, the better your mood will be. Or you can just shift right click, feel connected, and then just sleep in a bed. You'll feel connected to a TARDIS and it's more likely to take you to the direct coordinates. You'll get used to this kind of thing over time. So if I crashed my TARDIS and didn't hit the correct button, warning when it came up, the TARDIS would be very angry and probably would not take me to the coordinates I actually want to go through. I hope that makes sense. Please tell me if it doesn't. So now we're going to go back into the components section. As you can see, the dematerialization circuit and the fluid link is drained. These two are as well. But yeah, like I said, remember to use just enough items to find out how to repair these. But I would recommend after your flight, just give it a good old refill, you know? So now we're going to leave the TARDIS alone for a little bit, and we're going to move on to the sonic screwdriver. So these are crafted through this in a quantity scope welder. You'll have to craft each of these individual pieces, the activator, the handle, you know. But yeah, when you craft one, it'll look like this. But in the brass quantity scope, you can actually put it in the sonic customization section here and find the one you want. So I'm just going to random this. That is I don't really know what to think of that sonic screwdriver, I'm not going to lie. But basically, when you shift and left click, it'll change the function it's set on. So you've got entity interactions, TARDIS coordinates, and block interactions. So when you shift on it and block interaction, it'll display the blocks that you can actually use this sonic on. So just read that. Shift, left click, it'll change to entity interactions, and just press shift on that and you'll see the entities it can interact with. And I'm going to use it on a sheep right here. As you can see, I just shared it. And it'll use some of the charge. So it was at 500, now it's at 485. To shift, left click again, the TARDIS coordinates, which is the one I use the most. If I right click the sonic here, as you can see, its destination is here now. So when I click the throttle on the TARDIS, it should take me around this area. I find this very useful. So that drained even more, so now down to 460. You don't use it much, but it's just like the Doctor. He doesn't use it a great amount, unless it's the 13th. But you put this in the yellow section here, the charging panel, and any second, as you can see, it will go up in charge, but drain your TARDIS's Artron units. There you go, 470. Now I'm going to be moving on to the TARDIS diagnostic tool, which used to be called the TARDIS locator. And what this does is when you look at your TARDIS, it will make a beeping noise like this, and an arrow will point, meaning it's directly in front of you. And I like it that it does it in a space like this, otherwise it'd be really hard to find. But it is really, really useful for finding your TARDIS, and it actually displays the timeship owner as well. If you just right click on this, it'll show you all your component fuel, which is also really, really useful. And if you hover over this as well, you'll also see all your component stuff. Now I'm moving on to the TARDIS monitor remote. Now to use this, you shift and right click on your monitor here, and you can actually view how your scanner will view the exterior of your TARDIS. So if I click northwest and then right there, you'll see a different view of the TARDIS's chunk. Then just shift right click on it again. I'll set it to orbit, and now it's orbiting around again. And what it can also do, it can work really, really well on a rotating monitor. If you shift and right click on that, you can set a number for how it will extend. So if I click 10, it won't extend much, but if I right click it again and click 1, it'll extend loads. So now I'm going to be moving on to another way of coordinate travel. Yes, you might have guessed, the vortex manipulator. To craft this, you're going to have to craft the casing and the control module. But if you hover over it and press shift, you'll notice it doesn't have any batteries in it or any charge. And that's because you want one of these Artron batteries in here. I'd recommend putting a medium in this, because it actually uses a lot of charge. Ideally, you'd want just 2 of these, because yeah, this uses so much Artron units to travel. As you know, this is a sports car. So I could try to travel right now, you know. Just do 64, 64. And I wouldn't travel, because I need fuel to do this. So I'm going to pretend we've just crafted medium type, put this in your charging panel, and it'll start charging with Artron units. Like, there you go. So it'll take a while to charge, but it's worth it. So I'm going to use a creative one right now, but just pretend I'm using a medium one that's fully charged, because I do not want to keep you waiting for that to charge. So to insert the battery into this thing, you right click it and then click this button here at the side. Alright, and it'll send you to battery. By the way, what this button does here is just closes it. So yeah, go to the side here and then click this button here, and you insert the battery like that. And now as you can see, we now have, well, basically infinite charge, but we have one battery in there. And now we can just type in any kind of coordinate I want, and we'll start teleporting through a vortex. How cool is that? Until we finally reach our y coordinate of 0 of travelling through this vortex, which is kind of cool. You see how far you are, and then you'll teleport through, and you'll have all sorts of effects, because it is horrible. Like, it is horrendous travelling through the time vortex. As you'll notice, we have lost our TARDIS, but if you're in creative, just do just TARDIS interior, your name, and then your name to go to your TARDIS. So another feature that this vortex manipulator has is it can send a distress signal. Press the bottom button here, and then click this, select time ship owner. I'm going to select this one, make sure Tommy Pie exists. So I'm going to send a distress signal to myself. And now, if I go inside my TARDIS, you'll hear a beeping noise, because I have an interstitial antenna installed. Don't know if you can hear that beeping, but when you do, click on the communicator, and you'll be able to tune in to Tommy Pie's coordinates. There you go. So now we can go save them for whatever stupid ass reason. Or you can just ignore that, which I would if someone named Tommy Pie called me. So now I'm going to be moving on to the upgrades. Now these things are... Whew. So you've got 3 upgrades so far in this 1.4 version. You've got the atrium upgrade circuit, which basically means you can take blocks with the TARDIS exterior when you travel. You've got the electrolytic converter upgrade. It basically means if you're swimming in an ocean and the TARDIS is within a 16 block radius of you underwater, you'll be able to have water breathing under there. Really, really cool. And then the structure locator. And what this does, it allows you to search for more detailed structures. So I don't know if this is in it, but for example, searching for a desert pyramid instead of a desert, you know what I mean? Things like that. So I'm going to put the electrolytic converter upgrade in the atrium in here for now. And I'm going to show you how the atrium one works. So with your exterior here, you're going to want to get one of these atrium frames. I'm going to place these atrium frames at the bottom of the exterior, every single block, as you can see, including that one. And then I'm going to build around like this. And as you can see, I've just built a stupid little house. So with my TARDIS, hopefully going to take this wherever it travels. I'm just going to go, I don't know, to the planes. Let's use the telepathic circuits here and select planes, and it'll load it into it. Oh, that's quite far away. And we're just going to take the handbrake off and turn the stabilizers off and just go full throttle. And we'll go on this obstacle course until we land, which I'll see you when we do land. I also forgot to note, if you just shift and left click on this when you're midway through flight, it'll actually instantly make you land. Now, it does sometimes muddle up the coordinates a little bit more, but if you just want to get to like a various place really quickly, but you don't need to get exact coordinates, I would use this. It looks like we've landed underground, but as you can see, the TARDIS has taken the wood with it like that. It's not a great example at all, but there you go, look at that, there you go. You can see that the TARDIS has taken this mini house with it. That's what the atrium does. It is really cool. So we're going to take that out of my upgrades. I don't really fancy travelling with a stupid house with me for the rest of this video. But I'm going to show you how to unlock this Nautilus exterior, because it's the only one you can unlock so far in this version, which there will be a lot more to come. But to get this Nautilus exterior, you're going to want a Nautilus shell, and you'll get the achievement instantly. We haven't actually unlocked it completely yet. You're going to want to enter your TARDIS holding the Nautilus shell. And you should have unlocked it, but for some reason we haven't. But it should be when you enter with your Nautilus shell in your hand, it'll say you have unlocked the Nautilus interior. But for some reason it hasn't. It must be a new update thing, I'm sorry. Oh well, but you can unlock it with creative anyway by doing /TARDIS unlock interior Nautilus. You know, you could just find all of them here. But now I'm going to be showing you to the ARS things in this mod. Starting with the ARS egg, which you craft with this. You actually use an egg to craft it. So what this does is you place it down in your TARDIS. You can only use this in your TARDIS. You right click it and it shows all of these blocks that you can get for free basically. You just click them and you'll get 16 of them. It does drain 16 of your Archon units for every 16 blocks you get, but it's overall worth it. But that's what this ARS egg does. So now the ARS tablet, which you actually need the ARS egg to craft here, is used to extend corridors and make corridors. But did you notice how I got the ARS structure start from the ARS egg? Sorry, I'm saying ARS way too much. But you need to use this tablet and one of these to actually make the corridor. So if you right click the ARS tablet, you can select which structure you'd like to generate. So I want to generate a 4-way. And there you go, you generated a 4-way. I now want to do a gravity shaft down. And look at this, you've got yourself a gravity shaft down with an anti-grav. By the way, with an anti-grav, if you point your head up, you go up. Point it down, you go down. Now to remove these, you click on this void block here and you confirm the deletion. And as you can see, it will delete. So I'm going to delete this 4-way as well. And that wraps up the ARS item. So now we're moving on to something extremely beefy, the exteriors. So you need a chameleon circuit in order to change your exteriors. But I'm going to show you how to unlock the modern police box and the old police box for your TARDIS, because they are not yet unlocked in your exterior data bank. I think there's a couple of others, but the only two I know of for now are them two. So basically what you're looking for is one of these lost computers, okay? And what you do, you get yourself a sonic screwdriver, and you right click this thing here, the lost computer. Not the lost computer, the lost computer. And you'll see it says downloaded data fragments. So now you go back into your TARDIS and you put this in your sonic port, sorry, I've been recording for hours now. And as you can see now, you'll see it in your exteriors, the police box Mark 7. Not the box! Police box! But that's just the modern one. You can also get yourself the other one. And it's the same method, but you could either get the modern one or the old one. So if you wanted the old one, just go find another lost computer and do it. It might give you the modern one again, but just carry on trying until you get it. The way of actually locating these things is actually just finding one just when you're walking, searching for one, which is actually a decent method. Or if you come across one of these things, the storyteller. So they usually come already employed with that telescope up there, but he hasn't, so I'm just going to spawn one next to it. This telescope is like an employment station for the bit. What the hell? You might want to break it and place it down again. But there you go. Now he actually offers the strange journal. But then you want to buy a couple of these until he actually levels up. That XP bar reaches full. Exit. You'll notice you'll start having these particle effects. By the way, right click the strange journal. It's actually a TARDIS manual. Right click on him now, and you'll get this ancient artifact map for 10 emeralds. You want to get that. Oh, it looks like you actually get the envoy interior for your TARDIS just like that. Nice. But this will lead you to either one of these lost computers or a broken TARDIS exterior. And this is the other method of finding yourself a broken TARDIS exterior. So to navigate this, here's just a method I learned. You'll want to face north. So as you can see in your F3 part, which way you're facing, face north. And it looks like it's south kind of west, so I'm going to go this way. And as you can see, after travelling for quite a long time, I'm finally showed up on the map slightly, so when I move, but now it looks like I need to go, let's see, this way. I'm going this way, and as you can see, I'm getting closer, until finally on the map, I should at some point reach the X. And as you can see, X marks the spot. Now it looks like this one is leading us to a broken TARDIS exterior. So we're going to dig straight down and it should lead us to one. And there you go, an ancient artifact map, boys. So if it does just lead you to one of them, just give it another go if you're looking for a lost computer, I'm afraid. So now I'm going to be showing you what the Statenheim remote does. And I'm also going to be showing you how cool this pulse effect is of landing. I would personally put this on pulse because it looks a lot better. But if you craft yourself a Statenheim remote and look at it, you can see all sorts of stuff about your TARDIS. The owner, the dimension, the coordinates it's in, if it's in flight, the journey it's through, and the fuel it's got. So right click on any block and it'll summon your time ship like it says. And then if you look at it, it'll show the journey. When it reaches 100, it should start materializing on that spot. It will turn stabilizers on for you, so your TARDIS won't have a massive explosion without you being in it. As you can see, it's about to reach 100, and you'll actually see this pulse animation here. Like, how cool does that look? So now I'm going to be showing you the landing pad and the transduction barrier. So I'm going to explain what the landing pad does. So basically, if your TARDIS lands in a 16 block radius of the TARDIS landing pad, it will land just directly on this block here, basically sucks it in, you know. Whereas if it lands within 25 blocks of this transduction barrier, it'll push it out. So if I try to land there, it just yeet it over there. By the way, this is just a broken TARDIS exterior from the beginning of the video. But if I tried to land there now, nothing would happen. That's because I need to activate this with a sonic screwdriver, actually. Just right click on it like that, and you can set a private landing code. I'm going to set mine to 69 because that is really funny. So now if I hop into my TARDIS and right click it and click exterior properties and set landing code to 69 and update that, I will actually be able to land within that transdaction barrier. So now we're going to be moving on to another dimension, the moon. So it's simple, just going to take off without stabilizers on, and I'll see you at the other side. So now we are on the moon, as you can see. And when we open the doors, you'll get sucked out like that. And look at this beautiful moon. Ah, yeah, 3D planets, that's what I'm into. So if you go into survival, you won't be able to breathe. That's why you need this spacesuit here. Put that on, then you'll be able to breathe. Oh yes. So the spacesuit doesn't yet have a recipe, I'm afraid, but that's fine. But I'm just going to show you how you can actually make a cool room on the moon, and it also means you won't get sucked out of the TARDIS. I'm going to put an airlock door right here. Now if I place one of these oxygen sealers in a completely enclosed room and enter the TARDIS, you'll see I won't actually be sucked out. I'll also be able to breathe in here in survival, but the moment you break one of these blocks, everything will go to sadness. So now, we're going to space. We are now in space, and don't know if you can see, but the TARDIS is actually floating around in space, and if you float for too long, you'll actually get lost in the void. So the being sucked out and oxygen stuff is the same as the moon. You can make an oxygen sealed room. Also really cool for space stations. If you want to play on this mod and make a space station, shift and right click on the top of the TARDIS and you'll place a block and you can start off from there. And I'd like to say thank you all for watching. I mean, I hope I covered a lot of stuff. There is some stuff I didn't actually cover, but I hope I got you started if you're new and all that. So I do videos like this all the time. I have been recording for hours now, so I've never said this before, but I'd appreciate a like or a sub or something like that. But any questions, definitely comment them. I'll see you later, guys. Also have a nice day.